This podcast was recorded November 30th, 2020. This is an off the cuff podcast introducing the Invisible Wheelchair Podcast Best of 2020. Starting tomorrow and each day for a week, I will be highlighting one of the best of the 2020 Invisible Wheelchair Podcast for a week to bring us into the new year of 2021. So, 2020. I started this year out thinking, wow, the idea of 2020 vision, that 2020 was going to be something fantastic, this bold look back at my life and be able to change. And of course, that all came to a kind of a screeching change in about March, with, of course, the big news of the year, the pandemic, which has really altered life amazingly in a lot of ways. And I say amazingly because you can look at it in a bad way, you can look at it in a good way. It, for us, ourselves personally, it has not really changed as much as I thought it could have. Because, like, for instance, a lot going on right now, schools going online. Well, we've been at home doing homeschooling for a long time, so that really didn't affect us. What it has affected us in a lot of ways is, the socialization, the getting around other people, getting around family has been very, very different. We've had situations where we've been able to get with family, but of course, wearing masks, distancing, all of that kind of stuff has been very big for us, and so we've done a lot less of it, and when we do, it's a lot different. So the pandemic also has created, for any of you dealing with anxiety or dealing with OCD, for us, by two daughters who have dealt with OCD for a good bit of time now, it has kind of thrown them back somewhat. Not dramatically, though, luckily, but it has thrown them back into uh, some paranoia about what's going to happen, especially to myself, because I am in the age group and with having heart issues, I am in the more dangerous side of it, I guess. And so my daughters have become more paranoid about what happens to me and the possibility of bringing the pandemic to me. So, of course, they become more paranoid. And I'm sure if you have someone that suffers from anxiety or OCD, or you yourself suffer from it, I'm sure it has caused some problems for you. I know for ourselves, my two daughters both have had cleaning issues, one more severe than the other. It has kind of thrown her back a little bit, and we've had to take and do some work around that to be able to uh, circumvent it some and to kind of keep it under control. All in all, they have done okay out of it, but I can only imagine those out there that are suffering with OCD or anxiety are having a tougher time with this because the distancing and the not seeing others and being around others also causes problems. I know my father-in-law suffers with Parkinson's, and not being able to get out and do things and be able to get out and be around people has really caused some cognitive issues for him, and I feel for him. And as well as for my daughters and ourselves, we all are dealing with some anxiety around this, having to deal with this. That has been a big story of the year, is the pandemic, and it still continues, and it will probably continue into the new year, unfortunately. So, but on the good side of it, what I was able to do this year is I started on the Invisible Wheelchair podcast. I've started my stories from the OCD side, which strictly looks at people's stories, being able to tell their stories, telling where they are. And it's been fun. It has not taken off as strongly as I was hoping it would. So to bring out a little point right here is, if you're listening to this and you have a story you would like to tell, wherever you are with the story, whether you are on the more managed side of OCD whether you're just getting into OCD, whether you're in the middle of it, and you'd like to get your story out because the one thing that's, I think, important for anybody dealing with OCD is to understand is that you're not alone in this, that many people are in the same shoes you are. Maybe not the same compulsions, but dealing with the anxiety around it, dealing with the family issues around it, dealing with the social issues around it. So this, of course, the pandemic has, like I said, flared a lot of that up for you. But if you're out there and you want to tell your story, you want others to know about it, because I'll tell you, one thing I've kind of learned is that I think it helps a lot of times when they can express it, when they can let people know about it, when they can talk about it, even though that can be hard, it can help. So if you have a story or you know somebody that has a story that they would like to get out, I would like to invite them as guests on my podcast. And they can tell their story, and we can do it in a way that's comfortable for you. We talk about what you want to talk about. And if you want to keep it anonymous, you can keep it anonymous. We will do it in a way that makes it comfortable for you. You don't have to come to a studio. You don't have to come in person. It's all done by Zoom or online, whether it be Skype or Zoom or however you wish to do it. I would love to have your story and tell it on the Stories from the OCD side. So if you have a story or you know somebody, simply go to invisiblewheelchair.com, and on the left-hand side on the front page you'll see a thing about tell your story, and we would love to have that. So also this year, one of the highlights that we did was the four-part series plus a bonus on food and anxiety. And I was really excited about that because it really is an important issue that I like to get out there and let people know about, because a lot of people don't think about anxiety and food and the connection that what you eat can make a big influence on your anxiety and your stress and your OCD. So you're going to hear a couple parts of that in this review, this best of. I'm going to at least have two parts of it, and there'll be more. Of course, all of our uh, stories, all of our interviews, podcasts are all archived at the at invisiblewheelchair.com. Just invisiblewheelchair.com. Also, you're going to hear one of the stories from the OCD side on the best of. So, so the other thing I found that stands out is, of course, Zoom. Zoom has become the communication tool of the year, of the century, probably. But it is where we are now connecting, and it has become such a wonderful, fabulous tool. Imagine what it would be like if we were going through this pandemic and we didn't have the internet, we didn't have Zoom, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have social medias to be able to talk and communicate and get messages out and follow each other. So as much as we sometimes, and I know myself, when we first got on the internet, I thought it was a bit extreme and didn't know if it was going to last. But thank God that it did, because we are able to now connect. We're able to go to school. We're able to do and meet the people we need to meet. We're able to still keep business going, practices going. My practice stayed going because of Zoom. So it has been a real blessing. So I also this year, and you're going to hear this on the best of, is I was able to do an interview with Stephen Smith, who started NOCD, or as he likes to say, it's no CD, because what he talks about in there, and I think it's really important, and you'll hear this in the interview. I always just thought it was considered NOCD, the company, but what it really stands for is no CD, because his belief, and I think it's very true, is that it's really more not about getting rid of the thoughts, but really getting rid of the compulsions. So no CD, no compulsions is what it stands for. And you'll get to hear that interview in this best of week. I'm not sure which one it is. I can't think of it right now. So it's been a heck of a year. You know, politics has played a big role in it, and I won't go into that, but it's been a real tumultuous political year. So, and I hope that that part of it is over. So I wanted to introduce you to this best of. I do this every year, and it's the the week between Christmas and the New Year, kind of bringing us to a close for 2020 and bringing us to a point of 2021, which I'm looking forward to expanding even more on my Invisible Wheelchair podcast. I realized yesterday, actually, as I was going through this, how much that I'm still missing of things I want to get out there on the podcast. So this new year will bring about a real awakening for the podcast. And what I'm going to be doing the first 2 months of it, the first month, January, is going to be men and OCD and anxiety and dealing with some different issues in the new year with how men deal with it, how I dealt with it, and how I see men dealing with anxiety and OCD with their children and with other members of their family. And then January, what I hope to do is to have a women and OCD and anxiety and how they relate. And I'm going to work on that. So I think the new year is going to be a really exciting one for the podcast. And I hope that you will subscribe. I hope that you will give me some comments. I would really enjoy having comments. And you can do that on invisiblewheelchair.com. You can look at any of the podcasts, make your comments, or you're welcome to send me an email at don@invisiblewheelchair.com. And I'll also let you know about my practice because it is going to play a heavy role in dealing with OCD, and that is focusedhealthyfamily.com and familyocd.com are both my sites where you can contact me. You know, we always give a free consult. We can help you through your OCD. We can help your family if they're dealing with anxiety and behavior issues. We can help individuals as well as parents and families with my practice. So I had to give that kind of plug because I feel very strongly about what I can do and what my family has gone through and what we've learned from it. My wife is part of my practice. She's an occupational therapist, and she is involved with Focused Healthy Family and Family OCD. So again, you can go to familyocd.com or focusedhealthyfamily.com, and there you can sign up for a free consult with us to see if we could be a fit, if we could help you getting past and managing your OCD, managing your anxiety, managing your behavior issues with your kids, or as an adult, again, dealing with both individuals and families. So I hope you enjoy this best of and the podcast in the coming year, because starting tomorrow, 8 o'clock, actually I might start it at 10 tomorrow, but stay tuned tomorrow, because tomorrow is one of my most favorite interviews, and it was my first of the stories from OCD side with Kylie Odetta, who is a singer, songwriter, and it was such an enjoyable interview where she actually plays one of her songs on the interview. And so I want you to really tune into this and enjoy it because it's a wonderful podcast and it's going to be a wonderful week of review of the best of 2020 for the Invisible Wheelchair Podcast. So I'm so glad you're part of this. I'm so glad that you've tuned in on it, and I thank you for that. Take care, and happy holidays and happy new year to you.